On the earth, there are many ideas, transcendental paths, spiritual paths, some religious paths that do refer to these other levels, but for the most part, they don't have a real understanding. They have kind of a secondary interpretation, a rather distorted interpretation of these things. Just like when we go to school, we're taught certain things, and it's really not, history as an example, we're really not being taught the real history. We're really being taught a controlled distortion history. So as we start to get our own experiences, and something more so like what I'm writing in my books, as Duane the Great Writer and other people like Paul Twitchell have written, we're getting a better understanding and seeing more so than just the distortion that we have come to know with these conditioned educational positions. Now on the earth, these things correspond, like 2 + 2 = 4. As a person goes through the educational systems here, it corresponds to this one-dimensional world, so it seems as though it's working, and it does. But at the same time, people don't really see that, okay, they're working through the system, but at the same time, they're actually growing old, and they're actually, the effect of the system. This is what they do not see. They're simply agreeing to the restrictions and the effects of the system, thinking in their minds, well, this is how things are. Well, they are as long as you agree to them, but once you start seeing that there is more, all of a sudden you start to look around, and basically the idea would be, and I'm talking from my own experience, and that is that I want to see how I don't have to be the effect of the system, that what else is there. And through my own experiences, I've discovered that there is a lot more, but it's unseen because it's through your real awareness, and it's eventually learning to recognize this. Now, in this so-called spiritual sense, the spiritual idea, and that is that the term spiritual is that there's more than that is seen in the physical, but for the most part, the spiritual idea mainly corresponds to the astral plane. That's about as far as it goes. This also corresponds to the ideas of the gods of man, the angels, and whatever has taken place. Now, on each one of these planes or levels within the psychic realms or creation is a lord or governor, and these individuals, from the astral, causal, mental, these have been termed as gods. And these individuals, just like here, the president and the governments and the kings and queens, the pope, etc., these individuals will tell people that this is the ultimate. We're the lords and rulers of this area, and this is the ultimate. And so as you go into these other realms or levels, those individuals that have become the rulers and the governors of those levels, the lords, what have you, they're going to tell people as they come over there that they are the gods or the lords or what have you, and that this is as far as you can go, because they want to contain them as supporters and keep them that way, keep them unaware and unconscious, because as they do, they are supporters of the system that they've created. Now, these gods or rulers or lords, what have you, they're really governors. They've proclaimed themselves governors. Just like here, they were takeovers. They got their positions accordingly, and most of them are takeovers. Just like here, like in the old days, where did the kings and queens come from? And how did the governments become established? Because they were warlords in the old days. And where did they get all their treasures? Well, they stole them. They didn't work a 9-to-5 job. They created armies. They created these situations. They made themselves king. They created the systems, the religious systems, etc., to make it all look like it's all official. They created all of this to keep in line those that they wanted to support them. It's just very, very simple. So they've created these ideas to restrict people to agree to their support system. And so this is where we are today. In reality, all of us are free beings of real light. We are already free beings of real light, but it is up to each one of us to decide to recognize that and position ourselves accordingly, or we don't. It's a choice we make. And this is, you might say, a learning curve to better understand this and to be able to see this. So for the most part, most people will agree to the systems here. They will agree to the invented gods. They will agree to the invented authorities. And as long as we're here in the physical body, it's best to kind of get along with things, not totally rebel against the systems, even when we wake up to it, but to creatively understand what is going on and to creatively best survive that we can. And this is what we are doing as worldwide educators, simply letting people know that the natural environment that supports us is not doing very good. Actually, it's not doing very good at all. It's being destroyed on a daily basis, and people only have so much time. We have the real connection beyond creation. We're the only ones that basically do, and that is with the new you and what is known as the real universal guides. And they correspond to the real universes and the true reality, which I've termed as the all is. And so it takes a little bit of time for people to understand this, more so than the gods of man. And it's the all is, the true reality life is not as is the gods of man. It is like the sun shining. It's pure and it's real. But we must make the choice to recognize this reality. It's really that simple. It's a recognition. But at the same time, it's a very big journey. It's a huge learning curve to be able to step through the various levels of creation and eventually recognize this reality, because it's not done with our mind. At first we consider it, and we use the mind and the ideas and the experiences that we've had as a comparison. And there's kind of a, you might say, a very interesting and creative way to do this, but it really is very, very helpful to have the right knowledge of someone that has the experiences of the recognition of this. And so this is what I'm bringing forth as I've went through my experiences and had the involvement and the guidance and the education, real guidance and real education of the real universal guides for lifetimes into this lifetime. So this is what I'm bringing forth. Now, we've all come through the ideas of the spiritual paths, the religious spiritual paths, the political system, etc. And through the ages, there have been different rituals and ceremonies, different words like the and the Hu and other words, Amen, etc., that have been used that relate accordingly. And these words or vibrations or ideas worked at a certain time. Well, according to the true reality life is, the real connection has become the new you. And so this becomes rather perplexing to those that have traditionally known the other words, the other sounds, the other connections. To them, their connection to their gods and their reality is the the Hu, Amen, and ritualism, prayers, worshiping, etc. These, again, keep the individual contained in what I call tap line in creation. The new you breaks the tap lines, breaks these restrictive connections, and eventually the individual has experiences with the real guides where they start to recognize what is beyond creation. And this is the real freedom that each person is looking for, but they must test this for themselves. They must go through the process to wake up. And this again becomes the real wake up for people, not just a wake up to what's going on, not just a wake up to where the gods of man, the saviors, the Palladians, the aliens, and other beings are going to come down and save people. There is actually no such thing. Nobody can save anybody else, because it's all about recognition. It's all about each individual recognizing what is taking place. So no matter how much love and adoration and worshiping and prayer that people put into their present life and situation, again, these are ideas that correspond, basically physical and astral, to what is taking place in creation, and they're nice ideas, happiness and all these things, and these are part of our experience here. It's just that there is a whole lot more, and that is the recognition of your real awareness, which supersedes these 5 bodies that I've explained. Now, even though this explanation seems rather lengthy, it is actually a very simplified version, and there is a lot more to understand. This is like an introduction to a college course, and even more so. So as you start to gain experiences and start to recognize your real awareness, there becomes a whole lot more, because the experiences in the real universes are of a particular, and as a person still has their physical body and their other bodies, especially the physical, they still have to deal with the physical and what corresponds here, and the distortions that are taking place, and the misunderstanding and the interpretations that people have here, who are continually destroying their environment. In the real universes, there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as cause and effect. What we're experiencing here, or the old term is karma, good, bad, karma, etc. It's really a cause and effect. This occupies creation. Everything is cause and effect. So whatever a person creates here, they will eventually experience it. They will meet themselves. They become the effect of themselves. So as people create things, and especially create distortion, deception, etc., they will meet that at a particular time. For a while it looks good. If it's in this lifetime or later on in future lifetimes, they will be in the position, just like those who have been deceived, they will become deceived. And so this is in, actually it's in their own written scriptures. The reptilians and those that have created the systems here, they've created the doctrines, the Holy Bible and the Quran and all these other holy works that exist here. And these are ideas that, they have given the masses to control them. It's actually a control factor. And so these things have their point. In other words, the creations that we're experiencing here, good, bad, or indifferent, they're all a good experience for us to see, for the most part, what does not work, what is not real, to where we eventually recognize our real awareness. But this is a seeing and recognition and a perceiving, more so than a physical reality itself while we're in the physical body. So this becomes the challenge for the individual to be able to put all this together, and very few people can, because this is where it takes a lot of lifetimes, a lot of trial and error, to eventually come to a point where the individual is ready to recognize more than just their physical experience here. So it's not about rebelling against the systems that have been created or changing anything. That's not the idea. We as worldwide educators, with the new presentation and what we're presenting to the world, which makes sense once a person really understands it, more so than a system where it's agreed upon to destroy what supports it. The systems here have been set up to actually destroy the natural environment and poison it and pollute it, and this is agreed upon, like the cars we drive. Every time a person starts their car, they're poisoning themselves and everybody else. Does this make sense? To some people it does, but it really doesn't. But again, it's an agreed upon system to where it's only going to last so long, and then it's not going to work. And so what we're presenting here makes sense, and learning to make better choices while we're here. So we're not fighting the system. We're not here to change anything. We're just simply here to share something that's wonderful and does work, But again, it takes agreement. So not everybody's going to agree. So those of us that are here for a short time, like many people that have come before us, they're here and gone. So those that have the better understanding and the recognition of that there is more than just this physical reality, and they learn how to unrestrict themselves from this level and the various psychic levels, their various bodies, they will be allowed to go further into life to where they don't have to return into restricting positions. Because for the most part, most people agree to their restrictions. This seems to be very important to them, that they hold on and they agree to the restrictions, and they have the right to do that. There's nobody that's going to take their restrictions from them. It's kind of like a child with a blankie, and they want their teddy bear and their blankie. Well, they can have it for as long as they want. They can have it for a lifetime after a lifetime after a lifetime. And this is how the emotional attachments, for the most part, mental and emotional attachments go with most people. They want to hold on to certain ideas, certain emotions, and they have the right to do so. But they don't see the bigger picture, and that is that these things continually bring them back into an unconscious area, because every lifetime, as you, the real you, your real awareness comes into a new body, you have to go through that process of not remembering where you came from. So as you are experiencing what you are right now, keep in mind that at a certain point, you're going to go through the process where you're not going to remember that you were here, and that time will come. But again, for the most part, the personal self feels like, well, that'll happen to somebody else, but it won't happen to me. But actually it will. It happens to everybody. So in a way, it's a little bit scary. So as you learn to understand what we're presenting and the real education and guidance we're providing, all of a sudden you start to wake up. And as you do, and when you make the transition here, it's more so than the belief idea that, after you die, you'll go to heaven and things will be taken care of. Well, that's kind of like thinking that, all I have to do is believe, and that, the gods will take care of my job and I'll get a paycheck and I don't even have to leave my house. You can believe whatever you want, but it's not a matter of belief that takes you anywhere. It's a matter of you make the choice, and whatever choice you make, that becomes your experience. So you can believe whatever you want, but many people become surprised when they leave this area and find out they're still looking for their God, and they can't even find out where their heaven is, because they don't have the experience or realistically the awareness and the recognition of what is taking place. It's more so than the belief idea. But people have been taught belief. So for the most part, people will go into the astral worlds. They won't know where to go. They'll be in certain situations. And again, they will return here or some other planet or system unconsciously, because they still have emotional attachments, and they still have what is known as karmic baggage, etc. here. And again, it depends upon the individual and what they've created. Here are situations, and then some people have to go to the lords of karma. They do exist, and they have to go to purgatories that are in various levels, mainly the astral or the lower astral realm, for many lifetimes because of what they've done here. They have to go through these situations because, again, life is cause and effect. Just like a person that creates things against society, if they rob banks or hurt others, all of a sudden the authorities arrest them and they go into prisons or jails or situations like that. It also exists in the other worlds in creation. Just depends upon what the individual does, but what person does reflects here. We have the basic idea of if you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell. All right, now these are created places, and it's not that you go to these places forever. You will continually circulate until you get beyond creation altogether. So there are many heavens, and these heavens are awesome places. Some of them are beyond the imagination, but they are places in life. They are not the overall recognition of your real awareness. There is a difference, but for the most part, some individuals may never see beyond creation because until they decide to recognize what else there is, more so than just creation and the personal places, the personal bodies that they have, and the places in life that they go to, then they're not going to really see what else there is. So this, what we're presenting, becomes a very particular and a unique area to where the bigger view exists, to where real freedom is a reality and a real position, and a real position of recognition, to where the freedom idea here is really an implied freedom. It's not a real freedom, because there cannot be any freedom in creation anywhere, because you have cause and effect. So whatever is decided here, you're going to have the effect of it. So it's like, yes, you can have happiness, but with happiness eventually comes sadness. And this is just the effects of things. It's like the economy. The economy can be really good at times, and then all of a sudden, and we see this in history, the economy can be really bad at times. It goes through these cycles, and it will continue to do so. So as people go through, they may come into a lifetime where the economy is in an upswing. It's kind of like when I was born, right after World War II, what the Earth experienced here. The economy was in an upswing, is what it was at that particular time on this planet. Not all planets, but this one that we call Earth. So it was in an upswing. So the world had been devastated at that time for many years, and then all of a sudden people got through that, and it started to go into an upswing. So even though it went into that economically wise, and this became the industrial age, whatever we want to call it, it was still controlled by those people that have designed the matrix for this planet. They control the wars, they control the systems, they control the economics of this planet. This is what is not seen. And it would seem so that what is taking place is all kind of a natural process, like when we plant a seed in the ground and things grow. It seems like, well, it's all natural that, people get together and they want to be happy and they want this upswing to take place. Well, actually, most of this, if not all of it, is controlled, and it really doesn't matter, because you're still on a prison planet no matter what you do here, and it's waking up to that. And this is the first stage to wake up. But again, a lot of people, it's like looking up at the sky and the sun. A lot of people aren't interested. They just look at the ground below them and the earth and what is taking place and struggle to survive here. Again, that's a choice they make until they decide to wake up or not. And for the most part, most people don't want to see what's taking place here. They want to pretend in their own minds what it is they want for themselves and how they want their life to be, which is understandable also. But at the same time, there's still going to be the effects of what has taken place if they don't take a look around them and learn to see beyond this world and have a better understanding. So again, each individual, just like in school, some people excel faster than others. And actually, creation is a school. It's an experience for each one of us to go through this process for many, many lifetimes and many cycles here. And in later programs, we'll talk about that, because I'm just about to, finish what I'm saying here. So and then we're going to have questions and answers from Kelsey and from Tanya and from Chris. They're going to help me kind of continue on here. So with what I've presented so far, this gives people a basic idea of what is taking place in creation. And again, I just want to remind people that are listening to this that it's not about belief. It's not about the personal ideas we have. These are fine. But these personal ideas are limited because life is bigger than us. And this is where we, the new presentation, and we as worldwide educators, we as wonderful worldwide educators, provide the real guidance and the real education to show you how to get your own answers, and eventually you learn to resolve your own position, and you learn to recognize what else is taking place. But again, this is of a particular and not everybody is going to be willing to do this, but this is what we do. This is what we present, and we're here while we're still in the physical. We're here for everybody to help share this, because again, we're on the planet too. This is our experience here, and we want to eat real food. We want to drink real water. We want to breathe real air. These are the basics of living here. Life is about survival, and at the same time enjoy our lives while we're here also, while we're experiencing becoming more aware. So this is our position, and so I'll kind of end it here as part one of this series, and then we'll go into some questions here from those that are here with Miss Kelsey and Mr. Chris. We'll go through a little questions and answers here, then we'll end part one here of the Real Wake Up Now series that we're doing.